Going live. Namaskar and welcome to another edition of the special webinar series designed for the cities that are participating in the Smart Cities Challenge. आज का हमारा सेशन जो है वो बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग और थोड़ा अलग है क्योंकि हमें ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं डॉक्टर समीर शर्मा फॉर अ स्पेशल Q&A. सब टीम्स जो हैं अपना प्रपोजल ऑलरेडी लिख रही हैं. ऑल द टीम्स आर वेरी बिजी राइटिंग देयर प्रपोजल्स. वी आर जस्ट अ फ्यू डेज short of being able to submit the proposals, and I'm sure there are lots of questions that teams and consultants and the citizens have around the smart city proposal, and today's special session has been designed for that. But before we begin the session, a few quick inputs about the screen on which you're watching us. ये एक special webinar process हमने design किया है. कुछ cities हमें पहले join कर चुकी हैं. अगर आप पहली बार हमें join कर रहे हैं, if this is the first time that you're joining us, please notice that there are a few applications that you can use which are live, which we have designed so you can interact with our speakers through this very engaging process. The first item that I want to highlight is that you will see a poll section. The poll section is already live on your screen. A poll question is also there. How many questions of the smart city proposal has your team already completed writing out? Please fill in a quick response. That poll is live for another few seconds. In addition to that poll, you will see that there is a question field. If this is the first time that you are joining, अगर ये पहली बार है आप join कर रहे हैं, तो वो क्वेश्चन फील्ड हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. उसके द्वारा आप कोई भी प्रश्न हमें डाल सकते हैं, अपना फोन नंबर भी डाल सकते हैं. वी रिसीव बोथ द इनपुट्स. वो नंबर को लेके हमारी टीम आपको कॉल करेगी. अगर लाइन ठीक रही तो हम आपको इनवाइट करेंगे अपना क्वेश्चन डायरेक्टली पूछने के लिए. वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्शन है. काफ़ी टीम्स ऑलरेडी पहला क्वेश्चन उसका उत्तर दे चुकी हैं, इसलिए मैं सेकंड पोल क्वेश्चन को अब लाइव करती हूं. वी आर गोइंग बैक टू द सेकंड पोल क्वेश्चन. क्या आपके स्टेट ने हाई पावर्ड स्टीयरिंग कमिटी ऑलरेडी सेटअप की है? प्लीज रिव्यू द क्वेश्चन एंड वी लुक फॉरवर्ड टू योर रिस्पॉन्सेज. ये क्वेश्चन भी करीब 10 सेकेंड के लिए लाइव रहेगा. अगर आप अपने कंप्यूटर के पास बैठे हैं, मेक श्योर दैट यू हैव सबमिटेड योर रिस्पॉन्स एज क्विकली एज पॉसिबल. अगर आप एक कमरे में बैठे हैं, बहुत सारे लोग साथ में बैठे हैं, we can see that many cities have joined in with multiple participants. I will request one of you to please go in and respond to that question. It gives us the necessary data to be able to understand where some of our cities are right now. The other feature to highlight is a Twitter field. You will see, if you haven't seen already, that we have a Twitter field there which is following the hashtag Smart Cities Challenge. If you have a question and you want to submit a question to us through the Smart Cities Challenge hashtag, please do that. It will reflect both on the screen. Our team is also going to pick it up and we will be able to take questions from there as well. If you find something interested, please tweet it out as well. Other teams will be able to learn and share on that also. अब हमारा तीसरा पोल क्वेश्चन हम लाइव करेंगे. होपफुली सब टीमों ने पहले 2 क्वेश्चंस को ऑलरेडी आंसर किया है. हमारा जो तीसरा क्वेश्चन है वो है, अगर आपकी टीम, आपकी स्टेट ने HPC सेटअप किया है तो उसके तो या तो किया है या नहीं. A few questions related to that. Have you set it up? Yes, no. Have you scheduled a meeting? Maybe a meeting has not yet been scheduled. Please respond to this final poll question before we go into the session for today. The last item and highlight that I want to add is that we have a download section. Download section में आप देखेंगे कि 2 documents have already been uploaded, the Smart Cities proposal format as well as the city self-assessment form. If you need that for reference, if you haven't already got it, please use that. You can always download that from the link that is provided. So thank you very much for all your quick and immediate responses on the poll. We will be picking them up and consolidating as we go forward. Like I said, today's is a very special session and I would like to invite Dr. Sameer Sharma, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development and the Mission Director for Smart Cities to share his opening remarks with all of us today. Thank you, sir.
To all, good evening. You're enjoying the proposal writing? It's like an IS exam, huh? Anyway, let's start. Let's start with the question because we hardly have any time. Parvati, please start.
Okay, so I will go ahead with the first few questions. That's great. So in that case, I'm going to start with 2 questions, Dr. Sharma, and then maybe dial into a few people as well. One question that we had received earlier, which we have put into our seeded questions, what is the block cost estimate per acre for full-fledged smart retrofitting project as per the Government of India guideline? This is one question, and I will pose another one so that we can take two responses together. Are there effective ways of financing the huge land acquisition cost specific to some cities? Two different questions.
First is cost on retrofitting. Could you repeat the first question, Parvati?
No problem. The first question, sir, is what is the block cost estimate per acre for full-fledged smart retrofitting? The question essentially is, if we want to do a full-fledged smart retrofitting project, is there a broad cost guideline or a reference point that has been created as to how much that should cost?
The first question, no. It all depends on what features you're putting into the retrofitting or redevelopment, which includes the essential features. So it all depends on your city and which area you have selected and what you're doing with the area. So really there is no guideline or norms. That is one. Number two, there is no provision of land acquisition. We do not expect you to acquire land while doing the area-based developments.
So one question. Sorry.
We are not going to pay for that. Yeah. We don't expect any land acquisition in this. Yes.
Thank you for clarifying, sir. So the point is that there's no expectation for land acquisition, and so that has been clarified on that. A question coming in from Surat regarding the period of planning. What plan period is expected for the smart city proposal? The context for the question was that various time periods are mentioned in the smart city mission statement guidelines. Stage 2 plan financials would vary vastly for different plan periods. And they have given references of where all the different periods are provided in the smart city guidelines. So the question, I think, is there a specific plan period, or are they different as indicated in the mission guidelines?
See, the planning really ends on 15th of December. And the cities which are selected finally in January, they will have to go for projectivization, which means for area-based project, there will be one RFP. For smart city solution, there will be another RFP. The SP will be formed and the SP will do the bidding. And we hope to complete all this by May and June and then implement. After that, implementation starts.
I see. Okay. I hope that question got resolved for the Surat team. One more question from Surat, sir, I'll take, and then we will go to a phone question, which is also being lined up. Regarding another question from Surat, regarding affordable housing, especially for the poor, in which type of area-based development, retrofitting, redevelopment, or greenfield section of housing and inclusiveness should be included? Regarding affordable housing, especially for poor, retrofitting, redevelopment, or greenfield, which of these three can include housing and inclusiveness?
See, if you let's take greenfield. Greenfield is a specific provision in the essential features for affordable housing and inclusivity. For redevelopment, when you redevelop an area and there are poor people or people with lower income or disadvantage, they have to be sort of adjusted in that area. For retrofitting, again, if there's a slum, our expectation and the housing for all, you would develop the slum also in that area. You cannot develop an area and leave the slum or an informal settlement. So the expectation is all the three types of developments will have inclusive elements, and it depends on which area you have selected.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir. I think we're going to try and see if Mr. Rajiv, the project manager from PMU MDDA Dehradun, is now available on the line. Our team will just try and connect him into me.
Sure.
Hi, Rajiv, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. So you're live, and you're most welcome to share your question with Dr. Sharma.
Thank you very much. Hi, sir. Good evening. Our question is, we are in process of preparing our smart city proposal. Now we're slightly confused. We're supposed to upload it on the MyGov website. whether we have to upload the draft smart city proposal, one, or we right now for citizen feedback upload the project proposals that we have prepared, like say for ABD project proposal or a PAN city proposal. Either of the two. So what is it that we have to upload right now? The question and answers that we are kind of getting prepared, or the project proposal as such in terms of slides or presentation?
See, the purpose of this last stage of citizen consultation is that the citizens should know what will be the cost of the proposal and who is going to finance it, and will the citizens also have to contribute to have that better quality of life. Now, my suggestion would be that you should do it in a way which is easily understandable to the citizens. If you write ROI and all that, none of them will understand. So you pick up an area and say, in this area, we're going to give you all these essential facilities, but this will be the little cost on you in terms of tax or whatever. So you have to tell the citizens, number one, which area you have chosen, why you have chosen, what is going to be the cost, what features are you putting into the proposal, and what will be the benefits in terms of quality of life, sustainability, etc. So make it simple for the citizens, put it on MyGov or put it on your website, give a lot of publicity, get their responses, and then finalize it.
Thank you, sir. I'm not sure if Rajiv had any other question. Is he still online? No, okay. Another question, sir, from Agra. This question has been fed in through the online portal. The team is looking at both retrofitting and greenfield. And Anurag Anthony's question is, can we have a pool of 800 acres under retrofitting and 200 acres under greenfield? The total is more than the minimum required 750 acres. So they're separating it out, wanting to know if that, is there any guideline conflict on that?
You can have two, but they should be contiguous. You cannot have retrofitting in the center of Agra and greenfield outside Agra. So they should be contiguous.
So one more question from the same team. I'll just continue on that thought and then pick another question. In case of greenfield, again from the Agra team, they are looking to estimate future electricity consumption to be able to provide, say, 10% of solar power under that greenfield development that they are doing. They have said, how can we estimate that? And maybe the question is slightly broader, which is that, is there any reference that you may want to share of, what should they be looking for when trying to estimate a future projection of power consumption? Any thoughts on that, sir?
When greenfield is essentially has a strong real estate component, and the Agra Development Authority and the UP Housing Board, which does this sort of thing, you could use their documents and see what assumptions they have in order to estimate the electricity requirements.
I hope that answers the question for the team from Agra. I'm going to pick up questions are coming in from Twitter now from the Smart City Varanasi team, which has put out a question on Twitter saying, can we take underground cabling for city like Varanasi in select area under Pan City for traffic improvement? Traffic, just as a context, the city ran a citizen engagement question. They asked a lot of citizens to contribute onto a series of what could be prioritized, and in fact, transport management, traffic management came up as one of their key challenges from citizen engagements. And so the question on the proposal, of course, is, can we take underground cabling for city like Varanasi in select area under Pan City proposal for traffic improvement?
See, underground cabling is an essential feature in the area-based development. So you have to take it there, converge with the integrated power development scheme so that, you get another source of finance. Now, in the Pan City scheme, underground cabling there is really no application of IT. But what I could suggest to you as part of the strategy, you could put the underground cabling under IDPS, Integrated Power Development Scheme, and take up the underground cabling as convergence in that and put as a strategy. But this will not qualify for a Pan City initiative.
There is another question from the Varanasi team, similarly on their on the same question. I will just try and rephrase that a little bit. If the plan costs less than 1,000 crores, It is still only at about 194 crore in the first year. Is that an outlay? I mean, do they have to match it to 1,000 crores? Can they keep it lesser if that's what they require in the first year for junction improvement? And is junction improvement admissible along with ICT initiatives? I'm not sure if the question is clear, but in the same line of thinking around traffic management.
I mean, the PAN city should have an IT component. Now, junction improvement will only be something which we call as a physical development of the physical infrastructure, and it will not qualify as a PAN city development. What you could do is possibly examine these things under Amrut. Under Amrut, you could examine them, but this would not be a PAN city smart solution. Unless you you do junction improvement, put sensors and see the density of traffic and try to regulate it that way. If you could do that, then it could qualify. But there has to be some IT which helps you to leapfrog the traditional, conventional way of doing things. So that if somehow you can put sensors on the junctions or on the roads, see the density of traffic and connect it to regulation of traffic at peak hours, yes.
Great, sir. Thank you. The Bhopal team, Gaurav Singhania, has put in a question through Twitter. Is there any specific cost per kilometer for laying down the ICT network? And that's the question that they are looking for. Is there a reference cost that they should be looking at, or an example, or anything in the guideline that you may want to reiterate?
I would suggest you to look at the DATI website, the Department of Information Technology website. They have these norms. You could see that.
So we've received another question. This is through our normal the platform feed. In a PAN city proposal, unfortunately, I'm not able to make out which city this question is from, but the question is, in a PAN city proposal, can we take smart urban mobility, which is a combination of physical intervention, ICT and green initiatives, and combine that together into a single solution under smart urban mobility? Would that be okay to do?
You don't tell me the components. I mean, these are very generic terms, green, and you have to tell me what you're planning to do. What are the components under these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Then I could help you.
Then in that case, what I will request our backend team to do, I can see that Sadashiv, whose question this is, has put in a phone number, and I will request our team in the backend, while we take a few more questions, to perhaps call out Sadashiv and check if he is able to get online, and we'll try and bring him online onto that. We are just picking up a few more questions, sir. For a PAN city proposal, some questions are around the ICT components of the proposals. For the PAN city proposal, does the proposal need to also identify the detailed software and hardware configuration that will be built into the solution? This has come from the consultant who's working with the Hyderabad city team.
The answer is no. No. That will come only at the stage of projectivization once you are selected in stage 2 and you go for preparing projects and DPRs. No.
Okay.
No.
A question coming in related to the financing plan. The level of details that are needed as part of the financing plan, the reference is to question number 38 in the Smart City proposal. And the question is, what are the level of details needed as part of the financing plan, given that this is not a DPR? Question number 38, reference.
Yeah. See, it goes as follows. It is not the DPR. It is not the RFP. It's a plan. Now, once you go into plan, let me see this question 30. The question 38 is resources plan. Describe the financial sources, the own sources of income, the financial schemes of the center or state governments for which your scheme is eligible. So this is clear. Your own source of revenue are property tax, transferred source of revenue. Then there are financial schemes of the government, which is Amrut and other convergence schemes. So this is fairly clear. To all these, the SPV is eligible. Now, all this can be used to fund the smart city proposals and pay back loans. Now, besides this, if you want to go for debts, you want to go for bonds, then you have to say how you're going to pay it back. It's a revenue bond, how will you pay back the bond? briefly describe an action plan for resource improvement to make the ULB financially self-sustaining. Now look at your ULB. Now, what does it have? It has internal source of revenue, property tax, fees, levies. Now, you look at your property tax, how many properties are assessed, how many properties were in the census. Can you sort of, pick up all the properties which have remained unassessed, which are under-assessed? Then fees. Advertisement tax is another great resource which is highly underused. Then you're getting additional transfers from 14th Finance Commission. How much transfers are coming from the 14th Finance Commission directly to you and through the state? Then there are transfers from the state, like Haryana gives you a part of VAT, Andhra Pradesh gives you a part of the stamp duty. So your own internal resources, how are you going to augment them? How is the state going to transfer you additional resources? And if you think you're creditworthy, the creditworthiness is going on now. So if you're creditworthy, you go for bonds. That is how, even if you take a loan later on from World Bank or ADB, it has to be a revenue loan, it has to be repaid. So how are you going to take care of the user charges which will repay the loan? So this is the level of detail we want.
Thank you for the detailed response. I think that will be very helpful for the teams, especially since the financial planning has, in the last session that we had as part of this webinar was also on financial planning and strategies, and it was a very richly attended session. And I'm sure the teams will be able to use that. I'll take in a couple of Twitter questions. So our team is trying to call in both Surat as well as Mr. Sadashiv. Questions from the tweets now. Will SPV collect revenue separately? May we go for escalators in some select areas for decongestion and ease? If we go for that kind of an idea and we say, okay, there is some areas can be decongested with escalators and user fees may need to be charged for that, will SPVs collect revenue separately on that? That's come in, I can't make out the city, but that's one of the questions. Shall I take one more question and maybe we can look at two? The second question is, can an online submission form be made available wherein supplementary images can be uploaded against a respective answer? I think there's some challenge that this is a question related to them being able to upload online. You've already responded to a question on this earlier. Can an online submission form be made available where supplementary images can be uploaded with a respective answer?
Okay. The first one is about escalators, right?
Yes.
Now the escalators, I guess, would only come in the area-based proposals. You could have it since you have overbridges and escalators, but you really have to justify the costs and how you're going to pay it back. Now regarding SPV collecting user fees, now there are a number of models, legal models in the country. For example, Orissa, they allow SPV the amended law allows SPV to even be delegated these powers. Other places, maybe it's not possible to give these powers to the SPV. So in such cases, you will have to go for some contractual arrangements. So it all depends what your HPSC, and when you sit to the HPSC, what they decide to give to the SPV. If they do not give much, then how will they escrow the revenues? So this is one of the important questions. If you look at the question, I'll just tell you the question number. I'll draw your attention to I'll just tell you the question number. So that really is how it will be. Depends how you structure the SPV and what powers you give to the SPV, legal powers or contractual powers, and all this should come under the question. I'll just tell you the question number. So it all depends on the context. It all depends on the state. It all depends on what is feasible in your political economy to give to the SPVs. So I'll just tell you the question number. SPV, there were some checks, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll just tell you the question number. With that question number, you have to address all these. That is the first question. What is the second one, Parag?
Online submission form be made available where supplementary images could be uploaded? I think where they are responding to the question and putting it online, they want to add a few supplementary images, because I'm assuming that they are trying to get citizens to come in and review this as well. So just to be able to provide a reference to why that needs that's a technical question, I think, on the upload of the form itself. Can image spaces be allowed, or can they upload more images?
Okay, now I'll just tell you the first question. The question number in the proposal is 33. It is called SPV, and in that there are 7 questions which you have to tick and then write around 500 words. So that's the place you should address that these issues of SPV and its powers. The second question is about, this is an electronic version. We are not expecting any online submissions. You have to send 5 hard copies and 1 CD. We did think about the online internally, and while preparing the slips and SAPs and Amrut, we had a lot of issues in sort of uploading, and therefore we thought we would do this way. Now in annexure 3, you have 20 pages. You will have to copy and paste it there. Or if you want some additional, you can always put in annexure 4, but reference it. But there is no online version. This machine version has to be used.
Thank you, sir. Just for our reference and also for the participants who've logged on, we have 125 unique logins at this point of time, and about 527 team members, participants who've joined in through the 126 logins, sitting together, some sitting individually. So a very rich participation, and therefore all the questions as well. We have Surat, the Commissioner from Surat on hold on the phone. I'm going to bring him in for a call, and thereafter my team, I can also see that Panaji has some questions as well, the city team from Panaji, and so we're going to try and bring them on the phone after this as well. So the Commissioner from Surat, if he's ready now. Hi.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Milind Toroni here.
Please go ahead with your question.
Surat. Yeah, good evening, sir. This is regarding the plan period for which we should plan the proposal of the smart city. There are various periods like 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. And with this much period, the financials of the plan also would vary vastly. When we take 5 years and then in the other case, we take 10 years. So just wanted to have guidance regarding what should be the period for which we should plan the proposal.
See, I'll take you to proposal. Now proposal, there's a strategy section. In the strategy section, you have to tell in the next 10 years, how will you make the complete city smart? So what do? You start with one area and you start with 2 or 3 smart solutions, implement these within 2 to 3 years. Then this area you replicate in other areas and make the full city smart. So 10 years is to make the full city smart. The area based and the pan city is next 2 to 3 years, it has to be completed. So this exemplar area should be ready in 2 years. And then you replicate it in 10 years to make the full city smart. That is what is understanding. This will be the strategy. Then you come to the tactical part, which is the pan city and the area-based proposal.
Thank you, sir. We are trying to line up the team from Panaji on the phone, but while we do that, another question that has come in from Ranchi. This is regarding question number 31 in the Smart City proposal, which is the implementation plan. The question is, we are proposing a greenfield development and there exists no baseline for the activities envisaged in table 5. Please suggest the response that is required for this column, or can we leave it blank? Table 5 in question 31.
Now, when you make a greenfield, in a greenfield, there are some essential features. The essential features are in the smart city guidelines. Now, those 24 greenfield features have to come here. This table, they will come here. Now, baseline naturally will be nothing. So the target is the benchmark. So you pick up this 24, pick up an indicator, baseline, naturally by and large it will be nil, and then you pick up the benchmark and achieve it. But for all, whenever you're doing greenfield, we would expect that the citizens are supporting it. And the greenfield should be credible. You should have made some progress towards changing the land uses, getting your approvals, at least starting the process. It is very important that when you make a claim, it should be credible, it should be supported by government, it should be supported legally. Your master plan should support it. If it's not credible, it's just a claim. So claim has to be credible. Thank you.
So I'll just continue with one more question on the same question proposal, which is as a pan-city intervention under PPP mechanism. Will PPP funding be considered as state and ULB share for SC funding? I also think that the Panaji team is now online, so if you don't mind, I will connect him in as well, and perhaps they could repeat the question. If I can be connected, please. Hi, is this the team from Panaji?
Yes.
Hi.
Hello everyone. Hello. Yeah. Hello everyone. My name is Keshav. I am from a smart city consultant firm from the city of Panaji. My question is basically we are proposing a water-based transportation under one of the smart pan city-based solution intervention for our proposal. So my question is under the basically that proposal is intervention is proposed for the PPP mechanism. So will that funding can be considered, share of that funding can be considered as a state plus ULB equity contribution for SAP funding?
Tell me, what are the components of this water-based and what is the IT element in this?
So basically, the element is basically we are proposing some equity-based this thing, water-based transportation. So where basically we are having the motor-based this ferries and also other smart elements.
So motor-based ferries and other smart elements is what I have picked up. Can I request you to be a little louder, and perhaps if you're on a mobile phone, hold it a little closer. We are having a slight challenge hearing you.
Yeah. So my question is, if we are proposing this water-based transportation, so motorboats and ferries, so as a pan-city intervention. So will this, the PPP funding mechanism, under the PPP funding mechanism, so will that contribution for funding, can it be considered as a state and ULB share for the smart city proposal?
So I think
the answer is no, but you could consider it an Amrut in which ferries is an allowed component.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I've got a couple of other questions we'll take from Twitter. I understand that we also have a specific question from Navi Mumbai team, which also wants to speak to you and share a question. We are going to do that also, and I think we've got Sadashiv online also in a little while. While we try and get that, in one more question from Twitter, is the ULB board resolution mandatory along with the submission of the smart city proposal? And shall I
see if you see the scoring pattern, the focus is on doability, on implementation, on results. Now, if the local body is not on board, there is no buy-in, there is no credibility to your proposal. It's just a proposal. So if there is no ULB resolution, you will definitely get lower marks because the proposal is not credible. It is only a consultant-driven proposal. It doesn't have the buy-in of the people's representatives, which we think is extremely important. You cannot become smart if your mayor and corporators don't want you to become smart. You just lose out. You just have to wait, that's all, till they decide that your city has to become smart.
Very good point, sir. So one more question from Twitter while we are trying to connect on phone. This is from Smart City Tirupati team, which is active on Twitter. Can we choose an area of 2,700 acres for retrofit without taking any other model? I mean, it is exclusively retrofit for our city.
In fact, for Tirupati, I'll tell you, the majority of the cities are just taking up retrofitting as the only model, and you could take it up. It entirely depends on, the area depends on how you're going to finance it and all these, But yes, you can take up just one retrofitting in this extent, which is more than 500, it's fine.
Great.
In fact, we endorse this, and encourage you to do it that way. Yeah. I could tell you several models. One is people are taking up retrofitting 500, 800, 900,000. Another people are taking up 1,000 retrofitting. Within that, they're taking up 75 redevelopment. Right? Another set of people is taking up retrofitting on the boundaries of the city, and they're taking up a greenfield next to it. And then, somehow linking it, the cross financing. So it's a model they're developing, which is also financially viable. So it's entirely up to you, but yes, you could take up one.
So I think we now have Mr. Sadashiv on the line. He had a question and we were wanting to understand a little bit more. I believe he's on the line right now. Oh no, we do. All right, okay, great. So can we take Sadashiv on the line right now, please? Hello, Mr. Sadashiv, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great, excellent. So we had taken up your question earlier, but there was some, we wanted to understand it a little bit more. Perhaps if you don't mind posing it again to Dr. Sharma.
Fair enough. This is Rashiv representing the Davangere team from Karnataka. What we have done is we have taken a smart urban mobility as our Pan City initiative, where we're looking at a certain percentage of component as a physical intervention and a certain percentage, a larger percentage of an ICT intervention that is linked to an urban mobility concept. So we are trying to understand, is this acceptable as a Pan City initiative, and how would the funding work? Will the entire Pan City initiative be funded, or will only the ICT component be funded, and we look for alternative convergence for the physical interventions?
What we are looking for, there should be an existing service or infrastructure. You apply ICT to make it much more efficient and improve the quality of life. What we are looking for is this leapfrog from a service which can be made much more efficient through ICT. Let me give you an example. I told you in Chicago they had poles. They made all the poles intelligent, put a box. They gave reports on weather, pollution. I mean, in India, you could have put a box where you could take in the density of mosquitoes and then linked it to, mosquito eradication. So we are looking for that sort of solutions, IoT, AOT, IoE. We are not asking you to buy buses now and then put some GPS on that. If you already bought buses in JNU-RM, then you can put IT. So the strategic part in Pan City is not building up the physical and then doing the IT part, but the strategic part is that picking up 10 initiatives like this, doing 2 now, and then over 10 years completing the 10.
So another question from Mr. Ram Khandelwal on the question is, for schemes such as Digital India and Skill India, where the state allocation like Amrit has not been defined, can we have a broader provision in the questions related to convergence questions?
You know what, we will be expecting that in the HPSC this is discussed, and at the level of Chief Secretary, a small demarcation in the total funds is made for you exclusively, where the Finance Secretary and Chief Secretary agree in the HPSC. That would make it credible.
So that's a good reminder for all of our participants. If you haven't yet responded to the third poll that had been made live when we started, which was related to your proposal and your discussion with the HSPC on the same relationship, please do look at that poll once again. If you haven't yet responded, do go ahead and do that. The responses are yes, it has been approved, no, it hasn't been. You have scheduled a meeting in the next 2 weeks to do it, or a meeting has not yet been scheduled. This will give us a little input and also an input for the MUD team to be able to help if necessary. So please try and respond to that question. So we have a few more questions on 31, but I think we've broadly covered that. A question from Navi Mumbai, we were not able to connect them in. The number and cost of proposals in case of Navi Mumbai are less in comparison to other cities due to already present basic infrastructure and some smart infra in the city. Will this impact the selection of Navi Mumbai, which means if we don't use up all the allocation that we can use up because we already have certain infra, will that, will they lose marks on that? Will this impact the selection?
No, but ensure that all the essential features are there.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Is there any set template for the resolutions and agreements that are mentioned in question number 3 that need to be done by corporations? And if so, are there any templates that they should be looking at? Or have they missed?
The resolution, I think, all the local bodies have a standard way of writing the resolutions, the way you write it in your resolution register. That would be fine if it's a true copy. Now, about the agreements, question number 3.
Yes, sir.
Based on the detailed city profiling, what are the strengths and development areas of the city? Conduct a detailed SWOT analysis of the city with all relevant metrics and data. This is about metrics and data. So you're talking about, I think the question is different, but I understand what you're saying. It's like this. If that commercial agreement means you should have talked to them, then I would suggest you look up the DMIC website. The DMIC website has a lot of commercial agreements which you've been doing in the last 7-8 years. Your consultant should have done that literature review of the DMIC website and used that to create something for you. This is Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor website.
Sir, the Navi Mumbai team that we were trying to reach online, they had a couple of more questions. We already covered one, but I think we now have them on telephone as well. So with your permission, I'm going to bring the Navi Mumbai team on. Hi.
Hello. Yes, sir. I'm Nitesh Marda from Navi Mumbai team. The question is that in the smart city proposal, question number 16, where the inputs, activities and outputs for each of the area-based development proposal components have been asked, it is not clear what exactly is expected to be filled there and what level of detail is required. Some examples can provide some more clarity on what answering this question.
Okay, let me give an example. Let us take the essential features. One of the essential features to improve the visible aesthetics of the area. So all these wires hanging, etc., you decide to put it in an underground cable, and you also want to put the electrical wires in the cable. So what we'll be looking at it, the activity, the output is the essential feature, improving the aesthetics of the area, right? So you have to put all these underground. The inputs would be, you would require money for that, right? You would require the human resources for that. So where will you get the money from? You could get from IDPS scheme 60%, 40% you could put. So that would be input. The activity would be that you'll have to call tenders, right? You'll have to tell about your human resources who will call the tenders. And the output would be actual output, which means putting all this beneath the ground. This is for one essential feature. But now look at another essential feature. Suppose you are asked to give 10% solar. So you could put 10% solar, survey the houses. You have the solar city program, you have the non-conventional energy program, and then say you decide all public buildings you have to put solar on the rooftop, and that will lead to 10%. So what is the input? The input financial would be money from the SPV, money from that program, that would be the input. The activity would be actually doing it, putting it, installing it, connecting it to the grid. The output would be this power would go into the grid in that area, So now wastewater recycling. Suppose you have solid waste management. You pick up that area, 1200 acres, all the solid waste you want to incinerate, you incinerate entire thing. Another thing, wastewater recycling. So when you incinerate, what is the input? Again, input would be an incinerator, input would be human resources, activity would be installing that. So this is what is called a logic model, in which when you describe the inputs, it goes as follows. If these inputs are there, then these activities happen. If these activities happen, then these outputs will come. So that is the linear logical way of thinking. And, when you, now suppose look at underground cabling. If the money is made available under IDPS and by the SPV, then the digging of the roadside will happen. But there is also assumptions which come as, and the road should be municipal road. If it is not municipal road, you should have had the permission of the PWD or RNB. So these assumptions also are in there one question. So we want you to think that way. It's a process of thinking, which ensures that the proposal will become doable.
Thank you, sir. We have one more question also lined up as a telephone question. This is from the Smart City team in Ahmedabad. A team member is joining us, and I think she's online with us now. Hi. Hi. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Hi, Tara. Go ahead. Your question, please.
My question is, there is a SPV mechanism which has been created, but the thing is, in a smart city, when we are talking about area-based development, of course, we also have fan city development. I'll give an example. Area-based development, we have this problem of, say, there is an SPV which will do certain parts of the smart city aspect, whereas the redevelopment proposal will be, have to be funded through either a PPP mode or a government mode, which will come through, like corporations like ours, we do everything. Water supply, drainage, everything. I mean, we do everything under the sun except electricity. Now, in such a case, is it mandatory that SPV has to do everything to do with the smart city, whatever we put in the smart city proposal, or there will be a little flexibility allowed in case it doesn't suit us to do it through SPV? Some of the things we can do it ourselves and report, because some of the corporations do have that capability. We have our own SPVs also, or we have done the projects that way. So, because if there is somebody doing water supply, the SCADA, the sensor being put by the AMC or the local city government, and there's a smart city SPV which is a combination of both state and city government, and it takes a little time to, fix that with. Rather, a single tender would go to do the water supply, and the water supply money will come from AMC's own fund, which has to go through the process, and we do it quite smoothly. There is no issue of implementation capabilities there. So, will there be a flexibility allowed in implementation in case of certain things at least, so that we can, dovetail the projects properly according to smart city requirements, but get done in the existing mechanisms? That's what I wanted to ask.
So, see, let me tell you, this was discussed in detail, and all your corporations are actually state-level SPVs. UP has the Jal Nigam. You have all these companies which is one way the SPVs at the state level. You have to understand what is the smart city model. The smart city paradigm is you pick up an area and you do integrated development. Now, when the cities which win the second round, they go into the implementation stage, there will be one RFP created for the area to do everything. It will be something, if you go to the website and see the BKC Bandra Kundra Complex RFP, you will have one system integrator. That system integrator will come as a consortium and do the entire area. It will not be one state corporation or waterworks doing it, another drainage doing it, a small municipal contractor doing underground. No. Integrated planning and integrated development are the catchwords. And that is why SPV of the city is compulsory. Look at the other one is the Bandra, Bandra bidding which they have done, which L&T is one of the bidders. And in this BKC, who are the system integrators in BKC? Reliance. So, it is something like an escape thing from you. Think big, you accelerate. It's a different way of thinking. You don't have these verticals of 10 corporations coming and doing their stuff and the municipal contractor doing this. No, that area will not develop. So the RFP is one RFP for the area and one for smart solution. And this will come and do it and they go away. That's how it is.
Thank you for highlighting that, sir. I think a key takeaway on that question is that integration is very important, and being able to think big and integrate it at the same time is really the paradigm shift in this whole approach. Thank you very much. There is another question from Pasighat that we are trying to get online, but while we do that, one question that has come through Twitter from the Smart City MP handle, that's for the state level Smart City teams, multiple of them. How will cities be marked? If they have the same pan city proposal as another city perhaps, but in our city, it might be aspirational, but in another city, it may be a very necessary, basic need. And if it's the same kind of an idea, how will it be compared? How will that be assessed? Similar solution, a similar problem statement for PAN cities, but one city aspirational, one city absolutely necessary to move forward.
See how it will be assessed. I'll tell you the broad principles of assessment. Each of the questions will be assessed on a Likert scale from 1 to 7. And this will be given to the assessors. The assessors will be Indian and foreign experts, and they will do it. And then we will, they'll all be combined to give a complete score. But now let us look, if it's aspirational, it should come from your self-assessment form. It should find a place in your vision. It should be linked to your SWOT, right? That's it. On the other hand, if it comes as a need, yes, why not? If it's an aspiration, you have to decide whether you would like to do it now or after 5 years. So it's an aspiration which has to be achieved when the city becomes smart. But the aspiration need not be done in the first phase. It can be done after 4 years. So that sort of prioritization you have to do. So, in proposal, it's very important. All these questions are interlinked. And what we'll be looking for is consistency in your responses. How citizens' consultation has gone on, how you have converted that or synthesized those consultations, SWOT, then the strategy, vision, your goals, and then ultimately leading to the tactical part, the area and the PAN city. And then very important is financing. But most important we'll be looking for is implementation, which means results and financing, citizen consultation, and then strategy, in that order.
So we have the team from Deepak Shinde from Pasighat, who's joining us, a team from the northeastern city of Pasighat, who's also online. I think I will take him in quickly. Hi, Deepak.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Sir, this is with regards to question number 35. Sir, table 8 में private companies, corporation and organization के details देने हैं. तो सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि what sort of details are required, and in case, for example, किसी प्रोजेक्ट के लिए प्राइवेट का हमें रिस्पॉन्स उनकी तरफ से सर्टिफिकेट चाहिए, तो डू वी नीड टू कॉन्टेक्ट देम राइट नाउ और उनसे कुछ एग्रीमेंट वगैरह साइन करना पड़ेगा, एंड शुड वी शो इट एज एविडेंस, और उसका कुछ ये डिटेल्स अभी देने नहीं है इतनी जल्दी. दिस इज विद रिगार्ड्स टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 35. एंड सर 34 में भी मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है, जैसे गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट एंड पैरास्टेटल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ भी आपको एग्रीमेंट वगैरह लेने हैं, उनके भी डिटेल्स देने हैं, तो व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ डिटेल्स आर रिक्वायर्ड इन दिस रिगार्ड?
सी 34 लेते हैं. सपोज आपको अंडरग्राउंड केबलिंग करनी है, तो आईडीपीएस में आप ले रहे हैं, सॉरी आईपीडीएस में, इंटीग्रेटेड पावर डेवलपमेंट स्कीम में. सो योर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बोर्ड और your discom distribution company should pass the resolution and say yes, this will be done by the SP. So that is our expectation only, right? That is the only expectation, so that the integration can happen. About private, you may have consulted a lot of them, and you may be using some of the technologies or some of the processes they want. So some sort of just a talk between the two of you, exchange of letters, or in principle you want to do, because ultimately you'll have to go through a bidding process. I mean, you cannot give it to a private person, So this is what you've talked. This is what is the idea. That's all.
So a very interesting question that's come from Smart City MP Twitter handle. Will a city be marked down if there are litigations from parties in the city against a particular project, despite that a majority approval has been received from citizen engagement, etc., but one particular group may have put in a litigation against that particular project? Does that mark the project down in your assessment, in the assessment process?
Litigation, I would assume, is not a court case, but litigation means they don't agree to it, right?
Most probably, sir. Since it's a Twitter question, we may not have data.
Litigation, if it's a court case, the answer is yes. If it's a court case, we don't know whether it will be happen or not. Doability is a major problem. But if it is some people opposing it, you see, taking diversity of opinions, but there are a lot of people who are supporting it. And if they are opposing it, have you talked to them? You have tried to arrive at some sort of a compromise. So how well you take care of diversity is what is being marked for. But litigation, if it's a court case, yes, my advice is avoid it. Don't take those areas, don't take those, avoid it. We don't want the smart city to get bogged down in court cases. I mean, definitely you will get lower marks because it's not doable. I mean, there's a lot of risk. In fact, if you look at it, there is a risk element. So you'll have to show this as a risk there. Now, once you show a court case as a risk, and what is the backup plan? They will write backup also. So if you have a court case, what is the backup? You don't know. They will go to appeal to Supreme Court 20 years, 30 years. They don't know. So it's a big risk. My advice is reduce the risk. Or if you have a risk, hedge it.
That's very valid, sir. Thank you very much. We have Reena from the Dharamshala city team now online on a phone request and a phone question related to SPV. We'll just bring her on. Hi, Reena.
Okay.
Hi, Reena. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Hi. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for taking my question. So basically, my question is pertaining to the implementation part of the form regarding the SPV. So two questions. First, what will be the time duration of the SPV? That is, whether it will come to an end when the projects get completed, or will it continue for O&M for the assets created? Second, what is regarding the demarcation of functions between the SPV, ULB and state level departments. So for example, as we are saying that, there will be a convergence of projects and initiatives under the proposal. So how will this convergence get reflected in terms of the implementation? So how do we show that? That is my question.
Okay, let me tell you how it goes.
Yes.
Cities which are finally selected in January will be announced. Most probably we'll give you a model articles of association for the company. You'll set up the company immediately. Once you set up the company, we'll give you a model RFP for area-based and for smart solutions. You'll fill in your specifications and activities and do the bidding. Right? Now, convergence is important if you want to access funds from another scheme. And if there is another actor or another organization which is implementing, they should agree that this will be part of your integrated approach. So that is what we mean by convergence. Now, regarding powers to SPV, if you see the question number 33, there's a checklist. There are 7 questions. Now, these 7 questions, if you answer it, will lead you towards the power of the SPV. Now, the power of the SPV really depends on your local body legislation, whether law allows it, to what extent it allows it. Is the political economy willing to give it? If it is not willing to give the legal powers, is it willing to give it on a contractual basis as an agreement, as they're doing in DMIC? But if you're not willing to give any powers to the SPV and just create it as standalone, naturally you'll get less scores. So does the law allow it? If it allows it, are you willing to give something to it? Because after all, SPV is a creation of the local body and the government. It is not something outside. And if the provision of the law is not there, if you cannot delegate, if you cannot concentrate these powers to the SPV, then is there a contractual arrangement or an MOU you can enter into in which this can be given to them for this purpose? Regarding O&M, it is your call. Our suggestion would be that SPV has to continue till the entire city becomes smart. And at that time, you can put a sunset clause. It depends on you. It entirely depends. You see, this is a local decision which has to be taken at the state and the city level. We don't give any directions or anything to you. You have to decide. You are the people on the ground. You have to see your context and do.
So there are 2 more questions, both in the context of the SPV and one under the context of O&M. So I will take them because they're slightly related to the last question that Reena had from Dharamshala. On the SPV, one question is, who is the appellate authority for when things go wrong in a smart city? Will it be the SPV or will it be the administration? So that's one question. And on the O&M, the other question there is, under the convergence scheme, the O&M costs, should that be taken into consideration under the financial modeling as well? Two questions.
The first question, I don't understand what you mean by going wrong, because the SP will be governed by the Companies Act, which is a very, very strongly regulated act. Plus, the chairman of the SP is your district collector, municipal commissioner, or division commissioner. So the chairman is the key person in the district or the city. So the responsibility of anything going wrong rests with the company in which there are officers. So that is the first. Number two, what is the number? ON.
So O&M cost not to be...
It depends. If the scheme with which you are converging the activity or the objective, if that contains a provision for O&M, fine. Otherwise, it has to come in your financial model from the SPV or from some escrow account. Up to you. You have to see what a local source of revenue and finance and.
So on the financial input itself, one more question. We are also trying to line up a member from the Allahabad city team while we take this one question. Can the Smart City proposal grant be used for viability gap funding for a PPP project? A specific question related to that.
Yeah, you could do it. It depends on your implementation model. That's a matter of implementation model. That's fine. But then, yeah, it can be, because ultimately the SPV can access equity, SPV can find joint ventures, SPV can also do a bidding for PPP model. Yes. Raising funds. Yeah. Yes, you could do that.
Thank you, sir. I'll also like to reference the team that has asked this particular question on the PPP and how to use the viability gap. In fact, in the last session, sir, with Mr. O.P. Agarwal, we had an opportunity to discuss how to leverage some of these funds. And so if any of the Smart City teams had missed that last session, which was specifically on financing strategies and how to leverage the funds and the SCP grant, the video from that session will actually be available on the Smart Cities webinar page under the reference material. So do go ahead and review that again if you missed it. There was a very rich discussion on this topic in the last webinar as well. We now have online with us Sini from Allahabad. This will probably be our last or maybe second last telephone question, because we are just about 10 minutes to go from time. But we now have the Allahabad team online. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, go ahead.
Yeah. My question is, we have a tie-up with local university to supply solar power in the smart cities. Will it be okay if a small part of the energy comes from outside the retrofit area? Because out of the 10%, they can manage 8% in their campus, but they have a satellite campus which is outside the retrofit area. Can they supply from there to the retrofit area?
So see, the purpose of this was that in the retrofit area, you should promote something which is solar or which is PNG or gas, or it is a non-renewable source. This thing is already existing from outside. It is a pre-existing condition. So, it doesn't really add to the proposal at all. So the idea in the smart city proposal was that there should be something in the area which you should do so as to make it smart, and which will be replicated throughout. Now, let us look at Allahabad. I'm really not sure of the Allahabad, but if there are a lot of power cuts, you have a lot of diesel generators. If you remove 500 diesel generators and replace it with solar on public buildings, that would qualify. See, that is the purpose. So that's how you should plan.
Sini, you have another question?
Yeah, I have another question.
Okay.
The UP government has not agreed to directly put the solar power into the grid. So, whereas other states have. So, it's really uneconomical to store the solar power in a battery and then use it in the night. Because we have made a calculation and it is not correct to do so. So, can we put the proposal to the government to amend the law so that we can directly put the solar power into the grid, or we have to go by whatever law exists as of today?
See, it's like this. If you have these problems where your law doesn't support such a thing, now you, as a backup, I could say you could take it from the university, but it should be a new thing. It should replace something, it should add something in terms of using non-renewable sources. But it should not be something which is existing in the university and you say, I've done it. So you get it. So the plan B, where your law doesn't support this sort of a thing, fine. You could write it as a part of the area-based development.
Sini, we are running short of time. I know that you may have a third question. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Sir, a couple of questions that we will take. We are just about 7 or 8 minutes short of the time that we had scheduled. And of course, we have a lot of questions coming in. We have a total of now about 603 participants who are live with us right now, joining in from 149 individual logins. So a large number of city teams have joined in and are benefiting from this very rich discussion. Now, two questions that we will take from the feed. So one is from Goa. Will SPVs fall in the purview of the RTI, given that it will be accessing public funds? That's question number one. And another question that I will take from Bhubaneswar, which is relating to question numbers 16 and 31 in the smart city proposal. Both of them seem a little repetitive. Inputs and outputs are asked in both question 16 and also resources and targets in 31. Please advise how to avoid repetition in the level of detail. So one question is related to SPVs and RTI and the other is specific to 16 and 31.
The first question, RTI, yes. Where is the doubt? There's no doubt on that. Yeah. Yeah. Now let's see 16, right? 16 question, huh?
Yes, 16 and 31.
Yeah, essential feature achievement plan.
Yes, sir.
Describe a plan for achieving the essential features in your ABD. Importantly, accessible infrastructure for the differently abled should be included. List the inputs, resources required for activities. Please note the essential elements. You see here, when we were designing this, we wanted a description. You know, if you look at 31, you cannot give a description. It's just point wise. There's an indicator, right? You have to give a baseline and then you have to give a target and resources. So this is in tabular form, but in 16, the richness of your proposal, you can describe how it improves the aesthetics, how it improves the quality of life, how it is sustainable, how it leads to a clean environment, how it provides all the basic services, how it is inclusive, how it will make people walk better, how it will make people healthier, that sort of a thing, where it makes it much more livable. What we all dream of, your aspirations. People can walk safely, old people can and children can play, old people can sit in a park. You have facilities for the differently abled. It is different. When somebody enters this 800 acres, they say, yes, this is what I want for my area also after 2 years. So this rich description should come here. This is what you should describe. And that is only a tabular form, resources, indicator, baseline.
Thank you, sir. I'm hoping that question from Bhubaneswar, if any other city teams had that as well, would be resolved between 16 and 31. One last phone line question that we are now taking as we move towards a wrap up is Mr. Karthik Lad, joining from the Kota city team from Rajasthan, is now online and had a question for us. Hi, Karthik.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hello, sir. I have a question on question number 31 regarding the resources required. Now, resources required could imply manpower, it could imply funding resources, it could imply physical resources such as equipment, or it could imply contractual arrangements that are required and partners required. So, we want to understand what is the intent behind question 31 and what behind resources required and what is required as answer for this.
Resources, what we are looking for is the human resources, the financial resources, that's all. That's all we are looking for, resources. And that's why you put the word resources, we didn't put the much larger word, say, inputs. So that is what we are looking for. Activity is the contractual part, what activities will happen. So that's what you're looking for. Again, you have to understand the reason behind it. The reason is when we think, this is a process of thinking also. Planning is a process. If you follow the process, you're most likely will create a plan which is doable, which is implementable, where you can forecast, yes, I will do it. Because you looked after all these things, you have sort of identified all the assumptions. If the assumptions are violated, what backup plans I have. Otherwise, look at some project. You take a project saying land will be made available. Land is never acquired. You complete 80% of the pipeline, 20% is not complete. The entire project, doesn't become operational. So if suppose you had done this sort of a thinking in the beginning and you had put land as an assumption, and in that you would have said, if land is not made available, what would you do? Do you have another bypass which you can take it so that the pipeline becomes operational? So this is what we mean by this linear logic model, which makes you think in a way and create a document which is, more doable.
Thank you, sir. I think the question number 31 has had actually quite a few clarifications coming in, and just to, like as you've been highlighting, I think the logic thinking model is a very important aspect of thinking through the response to 31 rather than just trying to fill in the tabular format there. Sir, two questions. One is come from Kohima and another one from the Vellore team. I think I'll take both of those together. Slightly different questions though. Kohima's specific question is, they are putting in a proposal for a ropeway to be used as a mass transit system in Kohima. Can it be used and dovetailed into the urban mobility sector for pan-city solutions, given the geography of Kohima and the need for a ropeway kind of a bridge that helps them be able to, transit, especially through as a public sort of mobility area? Can it be used and dovetailed into the urban mobility sector for pan-city solutions? That's a Kohima question.
No.
Sorry.
No. No. No.
Okay.
Yes, several other schemes which you should use, not this.
Not this. Okay. The Vellore team has asked a question through the through their Twitter handle. We are proposing a development around the Vellore fort. Could the MOUD be able to help talking to the ASI, the Archaeological Society of India, in order to help us with trying to, I am assuming that they are trying to combine efforts there and they would like support from the MOUD to maybe approach the ASI and begin a conversation around the Vellore fort. Is that possible?
It depends on your area-based proposal. Now, around all the ASI monuments, they have that monument master plan also. So make sure these two are, they correspond to one another, they talk to one another. And yes, if ASI coordination, my suggestion would be, yes, we could talk, there's no problem, we could talk to Department of Culture. But even at the, at your, at Chennai level, that could be taken up. If suppose still you cannot resolve it, definitely we'll talk.
So there are of course many more very specific questions that we have received as a feed, but I think we are also running very close to our 75-minute time that we had scheduled for this session, and therefore I'm going to take this opportunity to just be able to maybe share a question that is more seeking also.
If you want, you can extend it. I am okay. It's up to you.
Okay, sir. In that case, I'll take maybe one or two more questions and then we can try and wrap up. A specific question is coming in from the nodal officer, Rajkot Municipal Corporation. As per their understanding, Annexure 3 allows 20 numbers of A4 sheets plus 2 numbers. There's some specific numbers there. So 20 A4 sheets and 2 A3 sheets for area-based development. Kindly clarify, is this a very specific requirement?
Yes. We want you to write, be precise, be focused, and write only what is required, So precision writing, that's why you have to limit yourself. In fact, you cannot exceed it because it's a machine entry form. It will not allow you to do it. So you have to limit it to that. You have to write everything into that.
So another question from Kohima coming in, an interesting one. Suppose the ULB has no capacity for taking credit, and there is no scope for issuing bonds. How can we finance the project if some project cost is still left out even after convergence and PPP? Please help.
Okay, I could tell you, 14 Finance Commission, you're getting additional. Northeast, you get additional assistance in several programs. So you could use that.
Okay. So there is another question which is seeking examples from your experience, sir, which is please give a few examples for job creation options for economically weaker sections in smart solid waste management. What kind of references could we be looking for? Anything that you might want to guide them to?
Job creation through solid waste management?
Yes, sir.
But why are they asking this question? I really...
Maybe we go back to the logic model.
Economic impact assessment. Again, let's look at it. Now, there are various types of solid waste management. One is the integrated solid waste management. If right from the doorstep to the processing plant, there's one agency which does it. The other model is where door-to-door collection is done and then transported to a bin and then taken to the dumping ground. The third model is you have decentralized collection and you have decentralized processing also. So it depends. If you have the third model, you can generate a lot of employment. You can have skills. In the first model, you can generate another kind of employment. So this is one way. Another way of generating employment could be that, you could separate the doorstep and then you have a lot of informal sector in the solid waste management, rag pickers and others. You could build up their skills, you could do that. Another model which I was seeing in some cities, they're giving these three-wheeler autos to people and they're going and collecting. And then they are going in a decentralized location, they are processing it. So it depends, it depends on the context. In India, one thing you have to understand, there's no way one size can be prescribed for all, even within the state. And we have left it to your imagination. It's your imagination.
Thank you, sir, for your response to that one. There is a question from the Durgapur Municipal Corporation, which is, what is a supplementary template? We couldn't find a supplementary template in the latest smart city proposal the template given to us. If it isn't available, then why is it included in the Pan City supplementary template 2? Is there perhaps a change in the...
I haven't seen this word supplementary. There is just this machine template. And then after that, one. If you have more than one Pan City, then you can use the same template again. That was the meaning of the supplementary template, only for Pan City. That's the meaning. Yeah, that's the only meaning. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Thank you, sir. So one last question we will take, which is coming in from Port Blair through the online dashboard. In a city like Port Blair, which has a small base population and its payability is therefore small and cost recovery is difficult, and beyond the paying capacity of the urban residents, since the entire population is small, we are finding it difficult to sort of look at the project sustainability. What would you advise?
14th Finance Commission, additional transfers from the state, and making your project size smaller, doing more with less, being more innovative, being more creative. That's the only thing I could suggest. It really requires a lot of thinking. So adapting something which you can do in that money, or getting a little more from the state or 14th Finance Commission.
Great. I think with that question, Dr. Sharma, and your very patient and detailed responses to so many questions coming in, it's very exciting. We now have 153 individual logins as people have been logging in progressively, and 613 participants who are live with us right now, sitting across India and sending in questions. We really appreciate you joining us, sir, and providing so many clarifications. If there are questions that we have left out from participants that may have submitted questions, we regret not being able to take that, but I'm sure we will be able to share those with the MOUD team, and the Smart Cities webinar page will continue to have the resources available, and all this video, all these responses will be available on the Smart Cities resources page do go back and have a look at that. We will also like to hear from you if this entire session was useful. Do use Twitter and the question feed to submit your inputs, thoughts on what you may have taken away from today's session. And Dr. Sharma, once again, thank you very much from all of us for joining and for taking all the time to respond. I'm sure you've been barraged with lots of questions over the last several weeks. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Parvati. And Parvati, make sure everybody, you submit your proposals before 15th. There's going to be no extension in date.
6 p.m.
15th, 5 p.m. It should reach us. Thank you.
15th, 5 p.m. in the hard copies at your office is what needs to, how it needs to arrive at. All right, okay. So then there is a lot, the work is cut out for all the city teams. There is only a few days to go, and I'm sure your state teams also need to review it before it gets submitted to MOUD. So there is a lot of back tagging that you're doing on that. Thank you very much everyone for joining us for this engaging discussions and for sending us your questions, joining us on the phone line. Really, really appreciate the engagement. Hope it was valuable for you. Some really rich answers today. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. But before that, of course, all the best for the submissions that you're doing as you work towards the final closure date for this round of applications and proposals. Wishing everyone all the best from the Bloomberg Philanthropies team in partnership with the Ministry of Urban Development. Thank you very much.